Hey, welcome to Stray Reviews. I'm Lee, and today what I want to do is I want to compare two pairs of rugged Chelseas. Now, I love rugged Chelseas. In fact, I prefer the rugged Chelsea to the dress Chelsea. And so the two boots that I am comparing today are the Blundstone Originals 1911 in tobacco suede. So they are the original. They're just like the other originals. The only difference when I say 1911, that's just the color, that's the type of leather. They're in tobacco suede. And they run for $209.95. Now the other boot in this head-to-head is the Rhodes Jackson Chelsea, and this one is in umber suede. Now they are both a waxed suede or waxy suede. Now maybe you can help me understand. The Blundstone is a waxed suede, and the Jackson is a waxy suede. So my guess is that the waxed suede means that the wax was applied after production. The waxy suede was probably meant that wax was infused to it during the tanning process. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know. So maybe if you would let me know in the comments the difference between a waxed suede and a waxy suede. Now, I have to admit, I have been a Blundstone fan for a long time. This is my fourth pair of Blundstones. I really like the color. I was really kind of turned on by that. I love that sort of reddish brown look. And I've owned the dress Chelsea and another pair of originals, and I own a pair of lace-ups, and I own these. So longtime fan of Blundstone. However, on these particular boots, at some point in time, the sole began to disintegrate. And so if you take a look at this, I don't know if this is disintegration. I don't know if this is heat damage. I'm not quite sure. I did try to, fill the holes a little bit with some silicone gel. I think that has done the ticket for me. But when your sole starts to disintegrate and you're not quite sure why, in my opinion, it's time to start looking for something with a hardier sole. And so that's what drew me to the Rhodes Jackson Chelsea, were these Mama Jamas right here. The Vibram 100 Montaigne soles. These particular soles are used, some boots for firefighters, some boots for mountaineering. I mean, these things are just, they're BA soles. And so I thought I gotta try them out. But before I jump into the comparisons, if you could please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and hit the like button so that other people can find this video too if you find it of value. And you know what? It would just mean a lot to me and my fragile YouTube ego. Thank you. All right, so let's jump in, but really quick, I just need to make a disclaimer. You might be thinking to yourself, well, the Blundstones sell for $209.95. The Jacksons sell for $298. Isn't that kind of an apples to oranges comparison? I mean, you're spending almost $100 more on the Jacksons. Well, normally, yes, that's the case. But at the time of the making of this video, the Jacksons are actually on sale right now for $193, which makes them cheaper than the Blundstones. And so I don't know if when you watch this, they're still on sale, but it's worth checking out. All right, so let's jump in. The first thing is the leather. Well, like I mentioned before, one is called a waxed suede, one is called a waxy suede. The Blundstones, when you look at them here, let me hold that up for you. They have almost like little to no nap. It's like the suede has been sort of matted down by the application of the wax. But I love the rough and tumble appearance of the leather. I do just love the way that they look. Now the Jackson is different. Actually, the Jackson, if you just look here, when you rub your finger across it, you can see it actually has more of a nap. There we go. Let's see. You can see that how it lightens or it darkens depending on where you're rubbing your fingers. And most of us just like to sit around all day rubbing our fingers across our boots. So the Jacksons have a slightly, in my opinion, dressier appearance, where the Blundstones have a more rugged appearance. Also, with the Blundstones, every little scratch, you can see that scratch there. Every time, every little scratch, every little scuff tends to show up. So if you see, if I just give it a little scratch, you can see that. And so that's just done with my finger. I didn't even need a nail for that. And so that's one of the things about the leather with the Blundstone that I have against, is that everything shows up, and forget about rubbing it out. However, the Jackson, if I just hold it up here and I do apply the same amount of pressure and give it a little scratch, you can't really see it. And then you can just kind of rub it out. And so I think that gives the Jackson a win in the leather department, because you're not looking at that every time you get a scratch, you run into something, you scrape up against the curb, your car door, whatever it is getting in, you're leaving scratches everywhere. However, one neat trick that I found with the Blundstones is that if you run a hairdryer over it, you can kind of rub them out a little bit. I think that the hairdryer warms up the wax and allows you to kind of spread it about, and hiding those scratches and scuffs. Who wants to break out the hairdryer every time they get a scratch or get a scuff? Neat trick, but I don't want to spend the time doing that. Now, on the inside of the Blundstone is a textile footbed, which I have to say is incredibly comfortable. If I can get it out. There we go. Textile footbed. It's very comfortable. And when you put these on, they are comfortable right out of the box. The other thing about the Blundstone is that they are textile lined. They're not leather lined or anything fancy like that. And I think that they run a little bit cooler. In fact, I wore these pretty much all summer long last year. And they were great in winter with a thick pair of socks. They were great in summer with a thin pair of socks. My feet never really seemed to get super hot or super cold unless we were talking temperatures like in the 90s. Now, the Jacksons are leather lined, and they have a leather footbed rather than a textile footbed, and they feel kind of luxurious when you put them on. They feel like, high-end boots. The only thing that I have found is that yes, my foot conforms, or the leather conforms to my foot. I have found that they do run a little bit warmer than the Blundstones, and so I don't see myself wearing these through all of summer, maybe part of summer, but not all of summer, because they do run warmer. The plus side of that, though, is that in the winter time, I don't always need a super thick or super heavy sock when wearing the Jacksons. Now, when it comes to the shape of each boot, the Blundstone, obviously, everybody knows about the Blundstone, how it has more of a kind of a work boot look to them. They're a little bit wider, they're a little bit boxier. The toe box has a wider shape to it, and so I feel that my feet are really comfortable in these boots. There's plenty of room for my toes to wiggle. However, with this sort of utilitarian vibe, work vibe on them, they don't go, in my opinion, they don't go with as many outfits. And so they are pretty casual, and in my opinion, they belong much more on the casual end of style or whatever you're wearing. Now, the Jacksons have a slimmer profile. They have this, they're lower. They have a narrower toe box. Take a look at that bad boy. And so, in my opinion, with the shape of the Jackson, that they are actually more versatile. I found that I can dress these up or dress them down. I can wear them with almost anything but like a suit. And so the Jackson I can wear more often with more things. Now, the way that these boots feel on my feet are completely different. The Blundstone like I mentioned before, is lighter and it feels really comfortable right out of the box. There's no real break-in period for the Blundstones. They fit snugly around my ankles, and they have more of a sneaker feel. I have worn these, like I mentioned before, camping. I hiked the Manitou Incline in Colorado in them. I hiked the elk trails in New Mexico in them. And so they are great for those kinds of activities. Well, the Jackson, on the other hand, is actually much heavier than the Blundstone. And rather than having a sort of a sneaker feel, they actually have more of a heritage boot feel, which makes a whole lot of sense because of the way that they were made and the materials they were used. They don't fit as snugly around the ankles, and they are stiffer and are going to require some break-in for you, and probably even some more break-in for me. I've been wearing these for about a month and a half on the regular, and so they're going to require a little bit of break-in. They're a little bit heavier. They have more of a heritage boot feel, less of a sneaker feel. Now, I do plan on taking them hiking, but up until this point, I have not, unless you consider the grocery store or the mall hiking. Now, the construction of these boots is very different. The Blundstone has a glued-on TPU, or thermoplastic polyurethane sole. It's cemented on, it's glued on, which means that it's not likely that it can be resoled. I've heard of it being done, but I don't imagine that I could just take these down to my local cobbler when the sole falls apart and ask them to resole them for me. The soles are light and they are oil resistant. I don't see myself, trying to walk over a floor full of oil at any point in the near future, but they are oil resistant, but they're not terribly heat resistant. TPU is not very heat resistant, has very low heat tolerance, which may have been what happened here. I do like to put my foot up on the stones around the campfire, and that could have happened at that point. I'm not quite sure, but they're not very heat resistant. Also, this particular sole can't be stored long. So if you're thinking of taking an extended trip, maybe you're going to be gone for a year, or maybe you're just going to put them away and put them in storage or something like that, they can't be stored because if they're not worn often enough, the TPU will just break down. So don't count on leaving these behind for your children or grandchildren or something like that. Now, the sole on the Jackson are they're Goodyear welted, which means that they're actually stitched on. They're not glued on, which means that they can be replaced. If something does happen to them, you wear them down. I don't know what you do. Melt them. Got shot with a laser. Got ninja throwing stars stuck in them. I don't know. But if you need them to be resoled, they can be. They have a much higher heat resistance. I believe at least twice the heat resistance of the TPU sole, at least twice. So I think that I'll probably be able to put my feet up by the fire with any worry about that. Also, you don't have to worry about storing them for long periods of time. So if you leave them at a friend's house while visiting from out of state and you don't get them back for another 6 months, that's okay. If you just decide not to wear them for a while, if you decide to put them away for your kids, whatever. This sole, this Vibram 100 sole, is a far superior sole to the Blundstone TPU sole. So what's the bottom line? Let's wrap this up. The bottom line is this. The Blundstones are very comfortable right out of the box. If you want something that you don't need to break in, that you can wear in situations like maybe you're going camping, you're doing some long traveling, whatever, and you want something that's light and comfortable but rugged, Blundstones are a great choice. I'm very happy with my Blundstones. But if you want something with, I'll just say it, superior materials, superior construction, that is more versatile in the types of outfits you can wear with them, then the Jacksons are a great choice. Now, they are almost $100 more But if you can get them on sale like they are, currently as of the making of this video, it just seems kind of like a no-brainer. Hands down at a similar price point, the Jackson is a much better boot. But then again, if they're not on sale when you watch this, then you have to consider whether or not you're willing to pay the extra, let's just say $90. So that's all I've got for this boot comparison. If you have happened to try both of these boots, if you've tried the Blundstone and you've tried the Rhodes Jackson, could you just let me know what you think? Can you just drop that down in the comments below? I think that would be really helpful for myself and other viewers. So that is all I've got. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.